I'm not the first person to have a historical hyperfixation, and don't hate me, we've all been there. I would even sometimes go as far to say, oh, I was born in the wrong era. But we are living in the best era, right? Well, at least we have our Sims. But I've had all those common phases, from the 50s, the 60s, the 80s, and I also did have a cheeky Mesolithic phase, but that is another story for another time. My medieval phase was my favourite. I always felt that my vocation was to be a full-time funny man, and you know what our Limmy says? In the future, the only job that will be left is that of a jester. And you know what? That is the life for me. A foolish outfit, a wacky hat, and just being a good old-fashioned fool. I'd be living the dream. I'd sometimes imagine myself as a miserable wench in a tavern, or a filthy little peasant, and sometimes a noble knight where I could literally slay. So to discover that there's a Sims game where I can live my best medieval life in a kingdom, I hopped the heck onto the EA store and bought that bitch. The Sims Medieval is a standalone title and is the 5th Sims game released for the PC, and it was also released on iOS. How forward thinking. Released in March of 2011, The Sims Medieval is a spin-off for The Sims 3 in a similar way that The Sims Stories were to The Sims 2. However, here we find ourselves in a medieval setting where the player creates their own kingdom, fulfills ambitions and completes an array of quests. An expansion pack titled Pirates and Nobles was later released in August of the same year. So in this video I'll be playing through The Sims Medieval in my own little way, just because there's not a linear kind of storyline or anything. So this video may be a little bit different than the usual. I've never played this game before, so that's also kinda good. So grab a bowl of gruel and a mug of mead and plonk yourself down as we go on an adventure medievally. A new land and a fresh kingdom, which we aptly name Poodom. Our monarch Pooh is made in my exact likeness, except a hag version. In this game, when we create our sim, we have to pick 2 traits and a fatal flaw. Some notable ones include evil, hopeful thing, and my personal favourite, oh, why you like my parents? This is where we yell towards the horizon to put down our Sims' emotional baggage on the conveyor belt of quick fixes. What the fuck am I talking about? The fatal flaws include cruel, bloodthirsty, cursed, drunkard, compulsive gambler, and the one I relate to is the fool. In some quests, we have the opportunity to replace one of these fatal flaws with a legendary trait. How thrilling. Now here she is, Queen Pooh, MBA or something like that, ready to rule. So we have some kind of tutorial thing where they show us the ropes. Unlike the other games, we only have 2 needs, hunger and energy. We have 2 daily responsibilities which we have to complete, and it assists us on completing the quests by keeping our focus meter in the old green and not in the red. First of all, Pooh stares into the mirror, pondering the future of Poodom. So I just randomly kill this bloke, and Pooh heads to the graveyard and there's just dead people lying on the ground. And you know what our Pooh says? Put 'em 6 feet under. We then head to the stocks for a bit of medieval fun. Chuck an egg at some poor bastard who's locked up. Ah, what a medieval sleigh. We happen upon a power-mad genie and we wish for money and the unwavering devotion of a gorgeous lass. But we just end up skin, and this bitch genie sends me some bloke with mutton chops. So you know what I do to this bloke? I spit in his face. Poor old Pooh is done with this genie bitch quest, so she sleeps it off. But people keep on coming into my room and pissing in the pot. Can't get a moment's peace, and this is supposed to be my bloody kingdom. Well, if the worst comes to the worst, at least we do have a pot to piss in. I suddenly decide to send all the filthy peasants to the stocks, but then I change my mind. I didn't mean it, and it is a woman's prerogative to change their mind. So the best thing I can do right now to ease tensions is to catch a bear and get them to forgive me. It was a moment of madness, a spur of the moment thing. I didn't mean it. Eventually we work our way through the tutorial, finding little Seamus the Lost, marrying a powerful witch and forcing the peasants to learn to read. Swiftly we move on to the next quest, where we have to make peace through the land by hiring the finest of all ladies of the night and buying some cheese. Hot pirates come to visit the kingdom, and meanwhile I just keep on getting attacked by all these bloody assassins. Luckily, Queen Pooh can slay. Finally, after all that action, it's gift giving time, but just gifts for me because I am the receiver, not the So my most favourite gift ever has got to be the torture chair, and I know who we can try out my new toy on, our handsome lute player that we hired. We summon a chinchilla to attack him and then tickle the shit out of him. Reluctantly I let him go, and there he is, singing once again, like nothing even happened. That's right son, block it out. The pirate gives us a parrot, which we make attack the poor old lute player again. Bless him. So we head back to the castle and everyone's playing dead for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on, but I need everyone out as I need to speak to this lady of the night. Sadly, she thought I wanted her out as well. So initially I thought that we needed to complete all these quests before we could create other heroes and stop playing as Queen Pooh. But I guess all we had to do was build random buildings. And now no one can stop me playing as different genres of Pooh. We have Jacobin Priest Pooh, Knight Pooh, Blacksmith Stansmith Pooh, Petrian Priest, Peteran Priest Pooh, Merchant Pooh, Spy Pooh, Bard Pooh, but I just wanted to be a jester, and with C Pooh the Witch. And finally, Dr. Pooh the Second, but I can't show her in Create a Sim because she is with child, but I will get to that later. Dr. Pooh the First died as we were doing a quest which found us attempting to assassinate the Queen, and our traits were perfect for this: evil, cruel and entitled. First of all, Daryl the Paranoid died, and we strolled off, and then some other bitch, Sophia the Mysterious, died. And I think they were exposing the monarch controversies or something. In my anguish and heartache at all these deaths of random strangers, I decide to be a right bitch to a random child. One thing leads to another, and Dr. Pooh finds herself getting chucked into the pit. And that's when she died. So, that is where Dr. Pooh the Second England was born. I decided against attempting to assassinate our dear Queen Pooh and opt for a different quest. Just for a day. Well, this bloody sounds right up my alley. Now when do I get the jester costume? So straight off the bat, Pooh gets mugged. But alas, to be a fool. And Nadia, our advisor, collapses for some reason. Get a grip, woman. And wake up. Can I be a jester, please? I don't know why I have to ask for a permission though, because I'm in charge of my life, aren't I? Pooh decides to swap places with this fella, Jester McGee. We give him some noble robes to do some parent trap type shit, or is it the film Freaky Friday? I'm not really good with the old "how would it feel if you were in my shoes" kind of film. So I kill some random bitch and swiftly go back to my fiddling. All this time I had the jester costume in my inventory. I pop it on. I'm kicking myself. All that wasted time not wearing the jester costume. But of course, I instantly slay the kingdom. Boots mama the house down, slay. And then some bloke decided to have a bath. And we do be watching the sword fight. But apparently that is enough excitement for Queen Pooh. I guess a couple of hours of foolishness is just far too much for you. Come on then, time to swap back, fella. But it turns out that the jester has gone power mad, and he's locked up our royal advisor, and now he's decided to send Queen Pooh to the stocks. How dare you, you cheeky bastard. Pooh eventually gets released, and all is forgiven, as we are a merciful monarch. Right, I've had enough of being a monarch now. Monarch mayhem time over. I'm gonna try my hand at being a doctor again. Dr. Pooh England II. What a grand title for such a, well, yeah. My first patient, well, I have to pick whether she's pregnant or gonna die from typhoid. And for some reason, I picked the latter. And she do be crying, but you know what? Cheer up, love, it's nearly Christmas. Another patient comes in broken hearted, and we tell that bloke that a trip to the seaside will cure his ailments. And you know what? I think Dr. Pooh is right. If I had a broken heart, the first place I want to go is Wetherspoons in Blackpool and have a chippy tea. I've been pleasantly interrupted by one of the variations of Pooh. Hell, they would stop traffic with how ridiculously bright they are. But anyway, back to the old broken heart. And being the professional that I am, I give this fella an ice shell that I found. And you know, fix him right up. Bless him. All in a day's at work, eh? Distressed, panicked, and looking for some help. Our next patient, well, he tells us it's something wrong with his kissing. And you know what? For scientific purposes, I'll give him a kiss. And turns out, kisses like a llama, and we all know what you've been up to, Dr. Pooh. But the poor bloke, he practically begs us to help him practice, so he gets better. Apparently his life is nothing unless he improves. Well, Dr. Pooh, she'll take one for the team. In the name of science and medicine, I will help this man. He rudely has a sore tummy glitch in between kissing us. But you know what? He's actually not that bad looking. Apart from the fleas and shit on his head. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is a bit of an ick. We kiss the bloke multiple times until he is finally a good kisser and his life is now worth living again. Bless him, I've earned my keep today. And we saved a life. Yet more people come to me to ask for help. This silly bitch, she was trying on chastity belts at the market and got stuck in the chastity belt. To help this lovely lady, we get some scrap metal from our friend Scrappy and find some ants. Yeah, metal and ants. The best thing to create a perfectly fitting key to unlock access to this woman. And then this glorious music played. I guess we get to keep the chastity belt as a thanks. But then we give it to the next wench, whose husband has a wandering eye. Sharing is caring, I guess. What is even going on here? I thought we're supposed to be a doctor, not a bloody agony ant. Oh, look who comes crawling back. The fella from earlier. You know, the bloke we were kissing. So, I wonder how the kissing has been going. I'm sure it was only this morning we were kissing him, and he's only bloody gone and got himself a missus, and they're having a baby. We have a little illustration of him talking to Pooh, and I guess this is what happens at therapy. You take your shoes and socks off. And look at those goofy feet. Turns out him and the wife have been kissing and waiting for the stork to turn up. And we have to do the fatherly thing and give him a talk about the birds and the bees. Parenting these days. His opinion of it is that it's all very gross. Nevertheless, he asks us to practice with him. So, okay, I guess it's my womanly and doctorly duty to woohoo with this bloke. And afterwards, he said he quite enjoyed it and he now gets it. Wonderful. I'm not gonna lie, I do hate it when you sleep with someone and then he just starts whittling. Also, it turns out that Dr. Pooh has gotten pregnant from the bloke. We slayed this quest, I'm not gonna lie, we slayed it. A hole in one. Well, I finally unlocked more ambitions, and with that I thought I could continue with our bright assortment of Poohs that we have come to know and love. But turns out, no, I can't. I have to start a new kingdom from scratch. So I decided to make a bloke alternative of universe of Poohs, Poohdom 2, where Pooh is now a bloke, and we do bloke stuff. We create King Pooh to rule over Poohdom 2, and we all know the two genders, winged eyeliner and just plain old eyeliner that cannot fly. King Pooh is looking for a fertile bitch, as we very medievally want to breed. And surprisingly, a lot of bitches are interested in our bloke, even this horrid pirate bitch. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's gotta be Royal Advisor Nadia. She is the one for me. So after being stalked by a pirate and killing a bear, and writing in my diary, we say farewell to our beloved to acquire some fertility wine from the town of all things fertile, Fertileville. No, I can't remember what it was called, but it probably should be called that. We perform the ritual with Nadia in the forest, and it's finally marriage time, but for some reason everyone is yawning. How bloody disrespectful. Well, all that's done. King Pooh is starving for food and for love, and after planning our mating strategy on our tactical map, it's finally time to woohoo. So we woo the who over and over again until Nadia bears child. But when we stop, she goes AWOL. I even put a marker on her and it says we can listen to her tummy. I want to listen to her tummy. Turns out all this time she's been chilling in the tavern. The bitch in her condition, how awful. I try talking some sense into her, but she just keeps walking away from me. So I just decide to go home. I'm a busy man. I'm a king, for God's sake. Then I suddenly get an alert to name our baby boy. I call him Boy Pooh. And for the life of me, I couldn't find the sprog at all. Where has Nadia put my little boy? I'm tempted to send her to the stocks, but I stop myself. She is the mother of my child after all. So I just slag her off in my diary instead. Our new blacksmith, journeyman Slay Poo Poo, he be relaxing in bed, the lazy bastard. But King Pooh needs our assistance for the kingdom, so King Pooh convinces us to help by farting on us. And for the first time, King Pooh ends up being mugged, the poor bloke. The day is brightened by son Boy Pooh coming of age. He now has a bowl cut and a lovely red locks. King Pooh decides to venture into the cave and check out this dragon with a flame-proof shield. And well, we end up looking a little bit worse for wear. Meanwhile, Slay Pooh wanted a bit of companionship, and the bitch rejected me, so you know what we have to do? Spit in her face. No one rejects Slay Pooh. But Slay Pooh, our blacksmith, really be on the struggle bus trying to make this sword to fight the dragon. I really shouldn't have done this quest with my low-level blacksmith. And then we have a weird falling behind on quest buff, which is really making me start to panic actually in real life too. But after grafting and grinding to level 5 of the old smithing, we craft the godforsaken thing. Let's test this new toy out, and this bloke keeps on trying to mug us and I just keep on cancelling it, but he's ever so persistent, so I just slay the bastard. We eventually get to slay the dragon, and the guy who was doing the mugging does a death drop. For this, we can swap our Fatal Flaw for a legendary trait, and we are now Hercules. Slay. Now we find ourselves playing as our bard, another variation of Pooh. Sadly, there is still no jester wear, even as a male, which I am utterly heartbroken at. To complete this quest, we can choose from two approaches, plagiarism or hard work. And I know what option I'm going for. We head to the village to meet the competition, and of course we get mugged as per. It's the only thing I can depend on in this bloody game. But this bitch who's mugging us has the audacity to be insulted by us. The cheek. We're not so upset for very long, as we are now playing our guitar, just to life and soul me. I head to the tavern to get to know the competition, you know, the ins and outs and all that shit. And one of the bards here has a bodyguard. Well, I guess they are the celebrities of the time. Just call her all of the cast of 2004 series Lost. I decide to whip out my lute and give a little tune for, you know, for the punters. But I'm literally so shit that I messed up. Luckily, no one noticed and they're all dancing to no music at all. I decide I'm gonna woo Kerry the Lovely, Bard Wolfrick's muse, you know, so he loses inspiration. And next I steal that bitch's notebook and with all the plays in and get the other bloke absolutely shit-faced, so he has to drop out. I'm just trying to flirt with that Kerry the Lovely, but this tavern wench keeps on cock-blocking me, and now she's rotating and shit. But Kerry is quite lovely, just exactly what she says on the tin. Why does she not want to kiss me? Look at me. So I decide to take my anger out on Prince Boy Pooh, the little twat. I retreat to my room after my rejection to craft a poem, the sensitive soul that I am. But there are just random women in here. Get out. It's time to bathe in my llama musk. I gather inspiration to read my poem to Kerry. I shat myself, my love. Oh my gosh. Oh golly gosh. I farted and it was worrying. My love. The turtle head has touched cloth, like how your beauty has touched my heart, my love. She went crazy for it and is now breaking up with her boyfriend, but listen love, I'm knackered. Night, love. Meanwhile, off I go to taunt Wulfric, and he drops out the competition. Slay. We write that play with all the shite we've stolen, but you know what? I'm actually proper craving a fishing trip. I'll perform later, I'm sorry. Returning from our voyage, the first on our to-do list is wake up the king and ask,
Please, can I go first, your highness?
why is everyone asking permission to do stuff? So we give Kerry a snog for good luck. I was gonna woohoo for good luck too, but my bed's far too small to perform the act. Showtime, I guess. I thought it was a one-man show, but I have to recruit an actor, so this random bloke should do the trick, alright? But apparently he wants to go and sword the fight then. Bodyguard Jonathan, you should do the trick, you know, his obvious acting skills. But I don't even think anyone watched the performance. We slayed it, but the bitch who I stole the plays from accuses me of stealing a play. She didn't even watch it, and neither did the king. The absolute audacity and rudeness of these people. So after all this devilish behaviour, I decided to do a bit of soul searching and play as Pooh da Monk. And it's time for dear Pooh to wake up the king. And I'm going to do this voice again because it suits them all.
Excuse me, Mr. King. Can you tell me about the talking frog?
I head to the cave to look for some frog hat to find the frog. But we get mugged and the mugger thinks we're quite rude.
Oh God, I'm sorry, mate. I shouldn't have been so muggable.
I put the old frog hat on, which has made my hair grow. And apparently we need a gem to find the talking frog, so Pooh da Monk is also a seafarer now, set sail on the 7 seas to find the frog tier. And we just dive the heck into the ocean. He is more than just a monk. He's not just a pretty face. I'm ready to meet this lovely frog I've heard so much about. Silly hat on and frog gem in hand, we head to the forest. But not before we get mugged. Imagine stealing from an innocent monk. We're just normal men. Just innocent men.
We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
And then this bastard frog ends up stealing our bastard gem, and we end up passing out. Poor old Pooh da Monk, he's been working so hard. I guess there's ain't no rest for the wicked. And I thought the highwayman was going to rob me while passed out. But alas, he just tramples on me and sneezes on me. We awaken only to be robbed by a different bloke. We tell the king all about the frog fiasco, and he decides he wants to get us, Pooh da Monk, to kill the frog. Me? I'm just a mere monk. Off I go to hunt the frog, get mugged on the way, and pop on my silly hat. I return with dead frog in hand and cook him, and all the king has to say is thanks. No MBE or nothing, just a waste of bloody time. After all that, I've decided I miss being a girl. I used all my quest points in this ambition, and I lost it anyway, as I don't have a bloody clue how to invade other territories. I go back to the original Poodum with the gals. Apparently if we do a certain quest, I've read we can take a hero to a new kingdom with a castle in a box. So with hope in my heart, I gather a few of my favourite NPCs, such as my powerful sorceress wife, and I couldn't even take any other Poohs with me, sadly. I start my new kingdom, Slayton, and they change Pooh's hair and outfit, and even a winged eyeliner. I'm disgusted. I immediately change my outfit, but maybe something a little different will bring on a better life. I create a hero, a merchant, as an example of how I want the people of Slayton to look. Slayington the First, I call her, and she is serving us Slayington Slayness. Anyway, after deciding she would be the only one who would look snatched and beat by the gods, I didn't want to create any more Sims for Slayton. So I decided to repeat a quest from earlier where I played as my male counterpart. Queen Pooh wants a child now. She's feeling very fertile. However, my beloved wife must have got lost at sea as she hasn't come with me to Slayton. I've chose from an array of eligible bachelors, but ultimately opt for this handsome pirate chap. I was going to keep it strictly business, but it seems as though we have to get married anyway to complete the quest. So I ended up doing it for love. Eventually, I marry this pirate, the floating wedding guy comes down and blesses us with marriageness, and off we go to woo-hoo. And we do it a couple of times, and not gonna lie, I've made a terrible mistake. I thought, oh, I've done this quest before, I don't need to look at what comes next. And the next thing, I'm pregnant. Before I got to plan my mating strategy on the tactical map, so now I have to go through the whole pregnancy, not making any progress whatsoever in my quest. I ask my servant to feel my tummy, and she rejects me, the bitch, so I send her to the pits to die. And then I get a new servant who looks a lot like my old servant from Prudence, and he does feel my belly. Oh, how I miss my dear Prudence. We eventually have our child, Girl Poo. Now I try to get my bloody husband to come back home so I can woohoo with him, so I can have the quest child. I invite him around numerous times, but he says he's busy. Aren't I the bloody queen? Finally, he comes back to see his child, and we can finally woohoo. And you know what? You just can't get the staff. Pooh finally grows into a lovely lass, and after another fishing trip, we finally have the child we wanted, and call it Pooh 2. I'm done with kids. Overall, I bloody love this game. I've sunk loads of hours into it, and I feel like it isn't even the tip of the iceberg. Although there aren't an endless amount of quests, the fact that you have options and you can choose your hero's own path is kind of cool. And I also find it cute the way the heroes' homes are like little doll houses, but it does make the in-game cameras kind of restrictive and difficult to see what's going on. But I think this is a me problem, to be honest. This game isn't without its flaws, however. The build mode is, well, there is no build mode. All we can do is furnish our heroes' homes with a limited amount of space we have. I do think it would be amazing to create our kingdom and choose where the buildings go, but I guess there has to be limits with such a vast area as our little heroes can explore. Also, I purchased the deluxe edition with the pirates and nobles. I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly gutted that we can't play as a pirate. No old salty recreation for me then. I'm still slightly mad I couldn't be a jester. But I won't let that dampen my experience. There's so many other great heroes we can play as with all their little quirks. For instance, the Jacobin priests gain their converts based on fear, and they're so dramatic, and their cathedral is a large, beautiful Gothic building, whereas the Peteran priests spread their religion through love and kindness, and their church is plain and humble, which is said to kind of mirror Catholicism and Protestantism. But I ain't getting into that, but I thought I'd mention it. Both their religions are based on me, the player, and we're called the Watcher, and they praise us, which is so funny, I love it. The way we can level up the heroes is an interesting concept as well. It allows them to do different things. The blacksmith can make more blacksmith things, and the doctor becomes a surgeon. But there's so much I haven't done, so I might revisit in the future because it's fun and kind of addictive. I also love that the advert for The Sims Medieval was narrated by Stan Smith's boss from American Dad. Well, that's it. Thank you so much if you made it this far into the old video. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you played this game when it was released over a decade ago. Is there any other games that you'd like to see me make a video about? Should I stop calling everything Pooh? I do apologise for the delay in uploading. Life has been lifing, and also the new Zelda game has me playing the new Zelda game. I just want to say a big fat thank you to everyone for 1,000 subscribers. I didn't realise how many people also love these silly little games and actually choose to watch me talk absolute bollocks for half an hour. I'm baffled and I'm so grateful for you all, and I promise it won't be so long until the next video. Thank you again. Good night.
Kanik! Krysik